Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Welcome back to Joe on Joe. This is your host, Joe Slepsky. And with me, across the desk from me today, is a mega talented actor. You may know him. You've definitely seen him on TV. He's worked with Gillian Anderson. Yes, you have. You have. It's on your IMDb page. He's worked on TV shows such as Chicago Justice, APB, Patriot, all very pro-American names there, Mr. Rammel. And most importantly, he's a founding member of the Mid-Grade Comics Sketch Comedy Club.
Oh, my God, I am.
You are a founding member of Mid-Grade Comics. Mr. Rammel Chan. Rammel, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Slepsky, it's so good to be here.
Oh, my God. I'm so happy to have you on. You are out here in California right now to star in a play called King of the Yees.
Yes, I am. It's at the Kirk Douglas Theater.
And it runs through August 6th. Mm-hmm. So as of this listeners, if you're in California, you've got a couple days left. If you're hearing this on launch day, go to see it. I can guarantee you the second half is amazing. It's amazing. Rammel's really great in it, and actually the whole cast is dynamite. Can you give us a quick little synopsis for our listeners?
So in San Francisco, Chinatown, Lauren Yee, the playwright, being played by an actor, is putting on a play, and a lot of hijinks happens, and her father comes in, and she sort of has to deal with his, weirdness. And it's sort of a familial story where, like, one generation has to get used to the next, but also like an immigrant story, a story about Chinese people and what it means to be in between worlds.
Yeah, and from what my wife and I gathered, and we'll tell the short stop version of that story in a second. It's a lot about your heritage and finding out what's important and what's in kind of embracing your cultural identity. Would you agree?
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. The reason I say kind of like, and this is what my wife and I believe, is we screwed up, and Rebecca, the longtime Joe and Joe listeners know the lovely Rebecca Wallenczak Slepsky. We got our showtimes wrong. So as we approached the theater, there was a crowd in front of the theater, and we're like, awesome, we're here, we're great, it's gonna be great. Little opening night pre-show.
Also, I think I have to point out that I emailed you a month beforehand that I was going to be in Los Angeles and that I had tickets for you for opening night.
Yes, and then it was a busy week. There's a lot of mitigating circumstances.
Of course,
a lot of mitigating reasons. And I checked the website, and I wasn't looking at that day's showtimes. I was looking at a different day's showtimes, and I assumed they were all the same day. Turns out the crowd that was gathering for pre-show festivities was the intermission crowd. And as Rebecca and I are talking to the guy saying, "Where's Will call?" And he goes, "What do you mean? It's the intermission." We went, "Oh boy." So with complete egg on our faces, we go and we slip in, and we're feeling terrible. We're like, all right, well, obviously we're going to go back and see this show. We're sitting in the crowd. Scene comes out. Spoiler alert. First scene, Rammel's in it. We're like, there's our boy Rammel. And he gets shot dead.
Might as well just leave the theater.
Yeah, it's exactly what Rebecca said.
Yeah.
But turns out they play multiple roles, and we loved it. And so as of this recording, we haven't seen the first half yet, but we're going back. We're going to be there. We're going to do our due diligence.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
And it was fantastic. Like, we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, the staging of it is delightful. When at first blush, it's a very stark set, really, with black backdrop, and there's a one door and two red poles. But you make use of digital trickery, projection.
Yeah.
And it really creates a nice landscape. And then all the actors are just delightful and really fun characters to watch. So we loved it. So if you're out there, King of the Yees.
Yep.
It had a run in Chicago. How long did you guys run in Chicago?
We ran for about 4 weeks in Chicago at the Goodman Theater, and then now it's a collaboration with Center Theater Group, so they brought it to Kirk Douglas.
Awesome. And there's talk of it going up in San Francisco and maybe somewhere in Canada.
And then there's some talk too about New York, but it's down the road. It's down the road.
It's great. It's really dynamite. So if you can check it out, you can. Earlier we teased that you were a co-star with Gillian Anderson. You were in NBC's Crisis.
Yeah.
And you played the son of what country was it?
Chinese ambassador's son.
Yes.
That was great.
That was awesome.
I was 27 years old when we did that.
And you were playing like
and
a
I was
15
playing a
year old.
15-year-old.
And the premise was that all the children of the ambassadors and the important VIPs, they all got kidnapped.
Right. They all got kidnapped, and there's a few people who Halston Stage and like Stevie Lynn Jones and all of those people who are like now doing movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were like part of it, who all got kidnapped.
Dermot Mulroney was on the show. It was Jillian's first big return to TV, right?
I think
after a long hiatus.
Didn't she do? There was like one like British TV show that
yes,
she did.
She did. Yes,
The Fall.
Yes,
was it?
yes,
Yeah. I think that was her big return to TV. But then like American TV, I think was Crisis.
And it
for
was
sure.
It was fun, and we got to see you get shot in the back.
Yep. The back of the head.
Back of the head.
Yeah. Dermot Mulroney, that bastard.
He killed you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I remember your death scene. I just forgot who killed you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he was double agenting.
Yeah,
people.
he was spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert
for all of you who are still watching
is
that canceled TV.
Is that show on Hulu or
I
something?
have no idea. I don't know.
Oh, it should. If it's on Hulu, check it out.
Yeah.
And go to IMDb and check out. Just type in Rammel. He's the only Rammel he's the first Rammel that pops up.
Yeah. I'm the only Rammel you know.
Rammel. He is the only Rammel you know. If you want to find him on Instagram, go to at the only Rammel you know.
What a segue.
Yeah,
you are a podcaster.
Oh, I've been doing this for almost 80 episodes now. And if you want to find him on Twitter, you go to at Rammel Yes. So check him out, IMDb. And as long as you're out there, you find me at Joe and Joe Pod. That's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You can send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com if you want to be a guest on the show. I'd love to have you. We're about to record we have our guests. That's one thing this pod does that not a lot of pods do. We have guests from all over the country. If you're listening and want to be on it, we Skype you in and we do it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. And most importantly, we just launched on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. Now, there's not videos, but it's the still image. I put a file card together for every episode of Joe on Joe.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, the image never really translates super well to Facebook, but it's a file card, so I wanted to keep the same dimensions. Looks great on the video, though.
I think I've seen those on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, no, those are trading cards. If you want to see,
yeah.
I Instagram out the G.I. Joe trading cards, but I put together file cards for every episode that kind of has a synopsis of the show and my guest name and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put it on YouTube, basically it just plays the video. The video quote video becomes the file card picture.
Oh yeah.
But you can listen to the show now on YouTube. So if you're out there on YouTube and do it, I don't know why I didn't put it on there before. Someone mentioned it to me randomly. They're like, "Oh yeah, you put it on YouTube." I'm like, "No, I don't. I should.
Perfect.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not?
So we're out there.
Good.
We're out there. We're growing. We're 14 episodes away from the end, and we're growing. But I really appreciate you listening. And if you're so inclined, give me a review on iTunes. I really would appreciate it. It does help the show grow. Now, Rammel, we're here to talk about G.I. Joe.
Okay.
You have zero experience with G.I. Joe, from what I understand.
You know what? I have the only experience I have is when we did the sketch show with Midgrade.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did a G.I. Joe sketch. Talked about it a little bit on the show. The premise was Cobra's big scheme for that episode was they invented actual bullets.
Yeah.
And they really hit people. And none of the Joes knew what blood was. They didn't know what bullets were.
They weren't ready.
They weren't ready for it. They totally got
great.
wiped out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you weren't in that scene, though. You worked on it with us.
No, I played
You played
Wolverine's son.
Wolverine's. Yeah, you played Dakin in that one.
Professor X.
You played Professor X. You played Wolverine in a later show.
That's right.
You did. You played a great Wolverine.
Oh, I'm a pretty good Wolverine.
Yeah, you did a real good Wolverine.
Play Hugh Jackman for his
You can
money.
find some of his work, actually, if you go to YouTube. I'll link to it on the Joe and Joe YouTube page, actually.
Is there mid-grade stuff on YouTube?
Oh, you don't know this? Oh,
No.
I put our whole last show is up on YouTube.
Oh no, yeah, I did see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I totally
So we
see
did
that.
our last show was titled "You're Not My Captain America," and it was a 1 hour extravaganza. We put it up at the Second City ETC stage, directed by Rebecca Slepsky-Wallenczak, the brilliant director sitting here on the couch. And it was great, and it was a premise of Marvel Comics characters. You played Reed Richards to my thing.
I did play Reed Richards
Yeah.
to your thing,
and you played Wolverine.
I wanted. That's why I was disappointed in the most recent Fantastic Four, because it just didn't.
It just didn't feel the same. Yeah, yeah. We had Maria Wojciechowski on this show, on Joe and Joe. Yeah. So we had Sue Storm. Now we've got Reed Richards.
She looks like Laura Dern.
Oh, she totally looks like Laura Dern. So you can see Rammel in our show. It's up on YouTube. It's on my personal page, my Mayday Balloon page. So
I
it's
was
called
very portly then.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, we all are. Google "You're Not My Captain America," but I will link to it. I'll link to it to the Joe and Joe page. But yeah, "You're Not My Captain America" is the whole hour is on YouTube.
I'm gonna go back
including
and
our
watch
big song and dance number.
Oh yeah,
It's amazing.
Those
So
are the days.
You've never seen G.I. Joe, but you were 10 years old once. And what kind of stuff did you watch? What kind of stuff were you into?
Ninja Turtles, definitely. I think I was more into Power Rangers, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see the recent movie?
No, I did not.
Okay, so did it ignite any of those like properties ignite like a lifelong passion in you, where you know like I'm doing a G.I. Joe podcast 30 years later?
Like, I mean, like the child stuff, like definitely. I mean, like I was more into video games, to be perfectly honest. Like Mario.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like Mario sort of carried through for the rest of my life, I think.
That's great.
I do. Like I look for Mario things to do.
Some friends that are a little younger than you are like big in like Pokemon.
Yeah.
And they were like, it was, which I think is just a couple of years after you.
Yeah. That was like in '99.
Yeah,
like
and it was for them. It was like Pokemon was everything, but Zelda, Mario,
I'm actually kind of obsessed with like the Bob Hoskins like Mario movie.
Really?
With like
John Leguizamo
and Dennis Hopper strangely playing King Koopa. Like, I think it's brilliant. I don't know. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But I think it's brilliant.
There's something to be said for intentional insanity.
Yeah.
You know, and that movie falls into it. Howard the Duck kind of falls into that.
Yeah.
It's a bad movie, but there's something just so odd about it that it's watchable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and definitely Super Mario Brothers is
like clearly somebody messed up and was like, we got to justify that he's a reptile, so let's make it dinosaurs. Like this has nothing to do with the video game at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are like the G.I. Joe movies. Like
yes.
I haven't seen any of those either. Do they sort of
they
veer away from regular G.I. Joe?
So they were. So regular G.I. Joe is a couple different things. So the Joe that we love, the Joe that I think is the Joe that they need to do their bread and butter on, is they took that template for it, but they didn't really embrace it.
Yeah.
So they didn't use a lot of the colorful costumes. They didn't use there wasn't a plethora of characters. You know, like they had their core five or six dudes, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like this show is great because you just have so many dudes. They show up for one line, and it's like, but it's so easy to see. Like, he's a space guy, or he's a sea guy, or he's a desert guy. He says one thing and then he's off. You know, like they didn't do stuff like that. They didn't embrace that for the movie. Mm-hmm. And then on the Cobra side, it wasn't crazy enough. Like they had a Zartan, but he just looked like it was the guy Arnold Vosloo who played the Mummy movies. Mummy played the titular Mummy.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything special about him as Zartan. And meanwhile, Zartan looks like a Kiss. You know, like someone from Kiss stepped off stage and decided to become a bad guy and joined up with a bunch of bikers. Like he's got such a look, right?
Yeah.
And in the movie, he's just a bald dude that whistles. You know, and it's like. And they bent over backwards to explain Destro's face mask. It's like, just give him a cool metal face mask. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. We'll move on. Stuff like that. So they didn't really embrace it. I'm hoping if and when they do a reboot, it'll adhere a little closer to this kind of. It's kind of campy, but it's fun.
Right.
That's what I think you're going to find out in this episode. So Rammel's never watched an episode.
No.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I've been watching the late. They have done later iterations. That's why I said like, what does being true to the spirit of G.I. Joe? Because the comic book is different too.
Really?
Yeah, the comic book very close to the cartoon, but they go off on wildly different plot lines, and it takes itself a lot more seriously while still having fun. And then they did later iterations of the cartoon that take themselves a little more seriously, so they're not fun. They're good. They're good cartoons, but there's no laughing. You know, there's no my barometer is there's no talking bird.
I see.
There is a talking bird on this show.
So it's sort of like later, I never really followed it too much, but I was a big fan of the earlier like XMen cartoon, like the first one.
Yeah.
And then like later iterations seem to like be more like dark and like soap opera-y.
Totally.
So it's sort of like dives down.
Exactly like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly like that. It's so this is for me just the perfect distillation of 80s.
Yeah.
Fun cartoon. It's trying to sell you a bunch of crap, but it's also there's enough meat there to enjoy it on its own. Mm-hmm. That's what G.I. Joe is.
Perfect.
And I think you're gonna love it because today's episode is called Glamour Girls. Yeah, that's why I have you here, Rammel, because it's all about high fashion, and you're an actor. Mm-hmm. You're pampered. You're always worried about your look. I know it.
I am.
We went to dinner tonight, and
Yeah,
you were
I
like, I
agree.
can't eat that. I'm gluten, dairy, lactose free.
Lactose free. Also no meat.
No meats.
So
No cheeses.
no cheese. I didn't eat
No
any.
dairy. No grains.
It was nice of you to take me to that nothing restaurant.
Yeah, we took you to Air. We took you to Air LA, and it was delightful. No, it's fun. It's fun. Cobra has a weapon that steals women's faces.
Oh my
They steal
God.
the youth from young girls, and they give it to an old lady because she's an old lady who we've never met before this episode, but she wants to be young and she's rich, and she'll pay Cobra money to do it.
See, that sounds perfect.
It
though.
sounds real. Well, first of all, real.
Yeah.
All right.
First of all, we need that.
We need that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
There are.
We're both married men. One day we're gonna be like, "Where's that Glamour Girls machine?" Because we want our ladies. By the way, you are married to the beautiful Feliciana.
Hi, honey.
Hi, honey. She's also a founding member of
She
Mid-Grade
is
Comics.
begrudgingly a founding.
Begrudgingly, but she was so good. She played
was
Jean
so
Grey.
good. She was so good. She just like she wanted to like write something, but she like doesn't know anything about comics at all. That was the craziest part about
Yeah,
that.
but she and I would love to have her on when she's coming out here to see you, and if we have time, I'd love to do a show with her. Her sense of humor was so great. The best thing she ever did was "You've got a dinosaur for a head," and I'm gonna save that story if we get her on. But
Yeah.
just so out there, she's so talented and so lovely. So I want to thank you for being on the show. It's my pleasure to have you.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
All right, well, that's it for the show. Thanks for listening, everybody. No, I love Rammel Chan. Rammel, are you ready for some G.I. Joe?
I'm ready. Absolutely.
Okay, and remember, go out there, see King of the Yees. If you're not in L.A., look it up. Send him a love note. Say, I want to see it in my town.
Just see the second half. It's good.
Just see the second half. It's amazing. That's all you need to see. Well, here we go. So, Rammel Chan, these are not just pretty pictures. These are all of these are toys that you could have owned when you were a kid. The year you were born in 1985.
Oh my gosh.
All of these, almost everything in this opening is a toy. Those are all figures you could have. All those weapons right there, every single thing. The aircraft carrier they launched off of, they sold. It's the biggest toy ever made.
Wait, so Cobra, what is their political affiliation?
They're Republicans.
I mean, what country are they from?
Oh, no, they are, they're not from a country.
Okay.
They are a group of citizens that are interested in making America great again. and I don't even mean that facetiously. Like, that's literally Cobra Commander was in the comic version of it. He was a used car salesman that was upset with the direction of the country. This is coming out of the late 70s.
This is real? You're saying
Well, I mean, the story that when it was the genesis of it. So we got Glamour Girls written by Beth Bornstein, and we open up on a young lady trapped up in a thing with a Madam Web, Aunt May looking lady, and Dr. Mindbender is going to explain their business. But the ideas of Cobra were born out of the time, like the end of the Carter era, where gas was too expensive, an energy crisis. That's gross, by the way.
that was horrifying.
Her face done disappeared.
Yeah.
Like in like a creepier Twilight Zone-y creeper way. Like, that's creepy.
That's horrifying.
It's horrifying. Turns out it's just a computer simulation. Thank you. That's, by the way, Dr. Mindbender. Best fashion sense in the world, right?
He's got he had the decency to cover his nipples at least.
Barely covers his nipples. He is a evil dentist.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that's
He was an orthodontist who decided he was experimenting with ways to control pain.
Yeah.
And became Dr. Mindbender.
that's
And,
amazing.
yeah, and he his machine blew up on his own brain and altered his
And
personality.
he needs that monocle.
Right. So Cobra Commander was a used car salesman who was upset with the system. He was upset with the way that the economy was going, or early 80s, the economy was in a rut. People were upset with the government and all that stuff. And he got all these people to follow him.
I see.
And they would have all these Make America Great Again rallies / Cobra rallies. And they would we need to rise up and take this country,
Take this country back.
take it back for our people, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Literally, that then becomes Cobra.
And that's the paramilitary organization.
Yeah, become a terrorist group. Yeah, now they shy away from calling it terrorist group in modern times
Yeah,
because
sure.
we know what that really is.
Yeah.
it was called a terrorist group. So from there, he gets money, and then they hire Destro to make armaments for him. Destro's the guy with the metal head, and he supplies all their weapons, etc. And they become this force of whatever. In the comics, they infiltrated a couple small towns, and they had that was their staging area, a town called Springfield.
Springfield.
Yeah, it was a generic Springfield.
Yeah, sure.
And they eventually had Cobra Island. On the show, they have bases all over the world. They don't really get into it all that much. But they have bases all over the world, and their goal is just global domination. To tear down the government.
Tear down the government.
Everybody knows Glamour Girls is the most prestigious fashion
So we're
magazine
finding
in the
out
world.
that
Only
Lowlight's
everybody.
sister is a fashion model. Lowlight, who was left in the woods, by the way,
Yeah.
for 2 weeks when he was a kid. We learned this we did his file card a couple weeks ago. He was hunting with his uncle or his dad or something, and he got lost for 2 weeks. Who gets lost for 2 weeks when how far are you hunting?
Yeah, what's
There's more to that story, is what I'm saying.
We send subliminal hypnotic
that's Zartan.
suggestions through the camera's flash.
See, he looks like
How do I look, boss?
Oh my God, he looks
he
amazing.
look amazing, right? Yeah, and that's one of his
How do you
Dreadnoks.
feel, Torch?
And so we're learning that this camera gives subliminal messages. So it hypnotizes the people they're taking, and then they give them suggestions. And yeah. He's the shapeshifter / camouflage guy. He doesn't shift shape per se, but he can look like anybody. He can create illusions.
All these guys in Cobras look like they're dressed for some sort of club.
Say it.
A little gay club.
A little gay club. It's very
Yeah.
it's very leather. It's very,
Very
leather.
leather.
Yeah. It's very village
That
people.
boy
You're
lives in
absolutely
a
right.
little face. What?
That's Zartan's sister, Zarana.
The first celebrities will be
I
here
think
before
this
you know
episode
it.
Zarana, you
there
take
was a
over.
scene later on where they're drawing Zarana and they forgot to draw her gun holster.
Oh.
And her boob is just straight up out. And I'm not even kidding. In prep for the show, I rewound it. It's straight up just boob. There's
That's
no nipple.
amazing.
They didn't draw a nipple, but
It's just a boob.
Her boob is out, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course
So
it will.
I believe
I've
it's a little
invested
later in the
fortune to
episode.
perfect it, just as I've spent a fortune to perfect
I think
me.
Dr.
Don't
Mindbender
you find me
has the hots
attractive,
on her.
Doctor?
Oh boy.
Ooh.
You're absolutely ravishing.
She's wearing his color scheme, purple.
I am old and ugly
Look at
and
her.
repulsive, but I own
She's
the
like
machine that can
Aunt May on a
restore me,
bad day.
Dr. Mindbender.
Oh, your wife Anna played Aunt May in one of our shows.
Who?
Anna. Remember when she
Oh
was
yeah,
Aunt May?
she totally did.
Yeah. And she
Oh
kept
my
offering
God.
she kept offering people candies.
Yeah.
And she dated Steve Rogers because they were the same age.
Perfect.
was
Beauty is so
great.
often wasted on the young.
Una, cut it out. You're
So,
making dial tone sick.
Oh, come on.
Turns out
boy.
Lowlight allows his sister to drive the G.I. Joe Jeep. I feel like that's a
That's
violation. Although, wait a minute. She's calling her friend Satin. Satin was the name of the show dance girl from one of the early. You wouldn't know this, but there's an earlier episode, and the Joes danced with Satin. They've reused that name. That'd be fun if it was like the same Satin. Just drawing connections, apropos of nothing.
Superb.
These lovely women are getting
Blasted.
blasted
Just
with
one
the
more thing, darlings.
hypnotic
We are
rays.
going to give you instructions,
And the
you
Baroness-
will follow them.
Here's
Do you
this. You see how
understand?
Baroness is in disguise?
Sure,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
About time
Those girls don't know who the
finished.
Baroness is. Why does she need to
Why
be in
does she need a
disguise?
disguise? That's
She
so
could
weird.
just be in regular street clothes. She doesn't need to be all disguised up.
Yes.
Ciao.
And the girls blow off their brother because they're going to go party in New York, right?
Can't live with them, can't live without them.
But that's your sister.
And also, the Joes are also driving an Ostriker down the street with a giant cannon mounted on the rooftop down the streets of New York. Also, I feel like Zartan didn't need to be in a disguise either.
He could have just taken off the hexagons on his eyes.
I don't even know that. Really? You're going to question that? You go in for a photo
guess
shoot
not.
and there's a guy with long auburn hair and hexagon eyes? You'd be like, dude, are you like David Bowie? Or,
Rhombus eyes.
Yeah, rhombus eyes, yeah. So the girls walk into a trap with the Dreadnoks waiting for them.
Return after these messages.
Today's file card features on the G.I. Joe Flamethrower, codenamed Blowtorch. His file name is Timothy P. Hanrahan, and his primary military specialty is infantry special weapons. with his secondary military specialty being a small arms armorer. He is from Tampa, Florida, and he is a grade E4. Blowtorch is thoroughly familiar with all military incendiary devices and flame projection equipment. To Blowtorch, the use of fire in warfare is a science that predates the bow and arrow. He's a qualified expert in the M7 flamethrower, the M16, the M1911A1 auto pistol. Quote, Blowtorch can't sleep unless he's near a smoke detector. Cigarette smoke drives him bananas. He always sits near the exit in a movie theater and refuses to live anywhere where he can't safely jump out the windows. This is not irrational to him. These are actions based on intimate knowledge. I feel like I say it every week, but I love Blowtorch. I love him too. He had an amazing look. He actually looked a little bit like the other line of figures called the Centurions. He had a beautiful yellow and red outfit with a bunch of like pockmarks, kind of sucker-looking holes that were probably for heat dispersal. Totally flame retardant. The coolest thing about him is that he came with amazingly cool accessories. He came with a sweet green blowtorch that attached to the tank on the backpack. But more excitingly, he also came with a yellow face mask that attached to the front of his character. So he was like a complete all-in-one system. The one questionable thing that comes into play in his design, they do give him an open V-neck collar, which is kind of funny. Not really conducive to stopping fire and heat, but hey, you know what? No, nobody's perfect. I was a massive fan of this. I think a part of it might have been my father was a sprinkler fitter, and so we were always on the lookout for fire protection, and every building we went into, we always looked for a fire alarm or smoke detectors or something along those lines. So I think it was this childhood fascination with Blowtorch. So I'm a huge fan of Blowtorch. Timothy P. Hanrahan, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Real American hero.
What are the Dreadnoks going to do to these beautiful young ladies, Rammel? I don't know.
So what is the... These aren't bullets.
No, they shoot lasers.
Okay. Because the 80s.
Yeah, it's all lasers. Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Beachhead just yelled at Lowlight that training module was supposed to last all week. Last week's guest, the CE Joe, would have been very upset about that waste of resources. At that point, CE Joe, Nick Glassman, would have come out and been like, what is up? Why are you wasting our money? That is a good training
Don't ask
module.
me, you're her agent.
I've got a dozen art directors screaming at me. You helped her move. Where did she say she was going?
Okay, so we've got a... now, Rammel, you have an agent.
I do have an agent.
You're an actor. You're like a real actor.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with an agent like this? Like, where's Rammel Chan? What do you mean he's not on the set of Crisis? I told him to be there at 7 a.m. sharp, or my name's not Rosalind Russell.
This is exactly how they act.
Is that exactly how they act?
Always.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
They always need to know where you are.
Rammel Chan doesn't get out of bed for less than $50,000 a day. Is that how it works?
Yeah, it was more like $500.
Okay. Well, you know, everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten into a dispute with your agent? Be like, my rider said I needed gummy bears and I needed Twix to keep my energy up. They only had Twix.
I'm usually just pretty grateful to be wherever I am.
I think so too. You're one of the most kind-hearted dudes I've worked with.
But we are fighting right now, though.
We are fighting?
Me and my agent.
Oh, I'm like, me and you? I'm like, I told you, apologize for missing the first act. That was a simple human error.
No, not you and me. We're never fighting.
Actress Tara Dossett and model Carol Lees just disappeared today.
This seems like not a case that like the
G.I. Joe.
U.S. government.
That's exactly what Flint just said. He said this is a job for the police, not G.I. Joe.
Oh my God, I'm on top of it.
You're a good writer. You are a good writer, by the way, but you're a good... The thing I always admired about your writing was you always named people so well.
Like what specifically?
Like... I struggle with naming characters.
Mm-hmm.
I always end up having to use names of real people I know. Then those real people get upset because they're like, "What do you mean you used my name as the local pedophile who digs up corpses and leaves them at the police station with dressed as clowns?
Yeah.
Why would you use my name?" I'm like, "Because I don't have a good imagination for coming up with good names."
Yeah,
your names are always like Franklin Zip McCracken, like attorney at law, like funny. Like that was absolutely gold tonight. We're like.
I don't think
that
so.
Kid can name
Robin
names.
from the agency told us to come over as soon as we finished our Fashion World magazine shoot.
Let me talk to Frank.
We've got a couple of young ladies heading into the photo shoot,
Sasha is faking.
but they're
Fashion
really
World magazine
Joes
went
in
out of existence years ago.
disguise.
Let's check the files.
Lady J and it might be CoverGirl. It should be CoverGirl because CoverGirl is a
Look at this.
former
Pictures
model.
of the missing girls.
Oh.
So CoverGirl should be.
Including Lowlight's sister.
Now,
Is that what's
Rammel,
coming?
the last few episodes, for a while now, we've been asking our guests to come up with their own Joe or Cobra name, or you're smiling.
I've been yeah.
So before we get to a name, unless you have one, what do you think your job would be, or would you be Joe or Cobra?
I think I would be Joe.
Okay.
Patriot. My dad was in the army.
Patriot.
So you got it.
Represent.
I got to represent.
Gotcha.
And I don't know what my job would be. I guess coming up with names. If I'm that good at coming up with names, I guess I could.
Well, start from the job because a lot of the names often reflect the job.
Sure.
So we'll start there. We'll start with what you think about it. We still got some time left in the show.
Okay.
So think about it, and we'll come back and revisit.
Okay.
But right now, we've got Zartan taking pictures of the Joe / models, the Lady J, and I think it's CoverGirl. And Zartan is hypnotizing them.
Darlings, the party tonight. We
And Baroness is
you.
telling them
Oh,
to go
that's
to the party.
right. Wouldn't miss it for the
Oh
world.
no, these aren't the
Bye.
same girls.
Well, those are the Joes in disguise.
Those are the Joes.
Yeah. So now,
Hey, you took your own sweet time.
okay,
Sorry, Lowlight. It's
Low-
clean. Just a regular photography studio.
Low Light and Dial Tone, they're in a van listening literally right outside the building. Could not be more outside the building, like not across the street, not around the corner, listening in. They're
Also, that van's pretty conspicuous.
well, at least it doesn't have a giant cannon on top. So now we're following them in an urban center in a militarized gigantic helicopter. That's not going to draw.
Mates, what say we make Zarana take orders from us,
Okay,
eh?
see, now is when the episode's going to get creepy.
Fire away, mate.
Look
See
at
what's
the
going on?
birdie.
Oh.
That's delicate
Okay, by the way,
equipment, monkey
this is the
brain.
scene. Look, she doesn't have her gun holster.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh.
That's boob.
That is boob.
That's straight boob. Like, for real.
Now, you bums. Are you gonna work or do I have to snap
And
you
her holster's
around?
And the holster's
back, right? So
Holster's
they
back.
forgot to draw it in the previous one, and the holster is what it works like a bra strap.
Yeah.
So when it's not there, it's just straight Zarana in all her glory. So this could get creepy because the rest of the Dreadnoks just hypnotize Zarana. And the Dreadnoks are not good dudes. So let's just be glad that it's a kid's cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're just going to have hijinks with her.
Just hijinks.
Just hijinks.
Instead of
But they do send her to the party, which is what's ultimately going to help us.
Yeah.
Because if one thing Zartan has an affinity for, it's family. Zartan will go so far because he's a mercenary. He's not like Cobra
He's
Believer.
not Cobra Believer.
Right. They pay him to do this. He runs those biker gang, the Dreadnoks. He runs that group,
I see.
and they're all getting paid. They're not in it because they're zealots. Those dudes, those Cobra
Those
soldiers,
are the
they're
zealots.
zealots, yeah.
Who cares? Let's shake them down.
So when push comes to shove, Zartan
Can I
will
just say that was amazing how they just like were just shooting willy nilly as they like ran out. Look at this.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
It's amazing, right? Those are Cobra stuns. And that's oh, Flint, Devil in the Deep Blue Sea. That's a good line to go out on. So we're going to take that into commercial with Flint giving us a recap.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
It's Capcom Street Fighter 2! What's tougher than a Capcom Street Fighter? A Street Fighter's mother? No! How about the Crimson Cruiser with Championship Edition M. Bison and Speak Slamming Missiles? It's not as tough as Championship Edition Guile going boom in the Sonic Boom Tank. Or the Beast Blaster. It comes with Championship Edition Blanca and Chun-Li and fires double tumble missiles. Street Fighter 2! Capcom Street Fighter 2, Sonic Boom Tank, Crimson Cruiser, and Beast Blaster come with Championship Edition figures, each sold separately. That's a lot of stuff!
Those were great messages.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Best commercials in the business.
Best commercials in the biz.
So the Joes are in a dockside firefight. And again, another episode where they do this really cool thing. These new, all 5 of those guys are new
Yeah.
except for Flint.
Okay.
So they've introduced the new characters onto the show sell the new toys, but they keep one. They always do one holdover from the previous generation, so people who are watching it still feel familiar with it.
Yeah, there's a continuity.
Yeah, they did it in almost every episode we've been watching since season 2. Like Hawk is leading them, and it's all new dudes, or Duke and all new dudes, Scarlet and all new dudes.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Those are Dreadnok swamp fires that they're all flying in. They're green because they blend in with the swamp. Oh,
Zartan.
Snap. Oh, Zartan is just kicking everyone in the face. What is up?
Their glasses stayed on.
Zartan's like a master of savate, the French art of foot fighting.
Those morons, the Dreadnoks,
Oh, this is great.
hypnotized Zarana
See how
and
upset
sent
he
her
is?
to Madame Vale.
Like he's for real upset.
Oh, he's very upset.
What
It's
a
his sister.
pleasant surprise. Madame Vale likes her face very, very much.
Oh, Dr. Mindbender's such a cretin.
I demand it.
Oh, no,
Oh, see,
Zartan.
that's-
The transference machine
See, that would be a
is
deal
far
breaker.
more important
See, if
than
I'm Dr.
mere
Mindbender,
family
I gotta think down the
ties.
road. Go, I'm gonna work with this guy. So
Yeah. He's just shot the screen.
Yeah, like assuming we get out of this situation, we're gonna be in an evil scheme again together. I really don't need to take his sister's face. But if he didn't know about it, I could get away with it. I would, but I get it. He's on to he's on to me now. So
there's no loyalty amongst.
no loyalty amongst Cobras. And here's Zartan dressed as a viper. Here's a question that would be cool if anyone put together a custom figure of Zartan on the head of a viper like this.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
people do like custom
Yeah,
toys
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
I'm risking my life by providing you with weapons and amore.
Yeah, Zartan's always had this sense of chivalry. It's not chivalry, but like loyalty is I think the best thing with Zartan.
Sure.
Like he's kind of like he has a few morals that he won't
he follows.
Yeah, like he would never do what Mindbender did.
Right.
Like if someone called him up and was like, "Hey,
That's my sister.
yeah, you guys, you just took my little sister into the swamp. Could you let her go?" He'd be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, you got me." Mindbender's just a jerk.
That will be quite enough, ladies.
I think they've
Vipers
won
are
this
scary.
round,
Vipers
girls.
are very scary. We got a lot going on here. They brought Lifeline with them. That's the guy in the red.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pacifist and doesn't carry a gun. So why is he on this mission?
Yeah, that seems kind of counterproductive.
Yeah, I like him. I respect the old Hacksaw Ridge, movement and all that stuff. I respect it.
Well, Andrew
But
Garfield over here.
Why would you bring him on this mission?
No idea.
Boy, target practice.
He was a cool toy, but yeah, come on, people.
Good shooting. Just get us to Madame
Yeah,
Vale's
Lowlight, he's
island.
the night vision sniper specialist. That's his specialty. So that's why he's just constantly wearing a red goggle, and he looks like William Cat, the greatest American hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Aunt May is very excited about getting young girl's face. Is it Zarana in the chair? Who's in the? No. That's
It's,
Lowlight's sister.
Yep.
Una.
I must have her face. Try it again.
I must have her face. Try it again. I want to use that in everyday conversation one day.
She doesn't just get the face though; it just makes her younger, sort of like.
Yeah, but it erases
Hocus
the
Pocus.
face of the other person,
Yeah.
which is so wrong.
Oh, better
At least it
hurry.
did in the computer simulation.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just Mindbender gilding the lily a little bit.
Maybe.
Because usually when you see these plots like this, because we've seen this before.
Yeah.
It's usually they just get old and go, "Oh my God, he's an 80-year-old man."
You heard Dr. Mindbender,
But
boys.
this is
He
like
said not
straight
to
face
harm
replacement.
us. Unfortunately, though, we can harm you.
Yeah, you can. That's Lady J, who just said that.
Yeah.
That's Rebecca's crush.
Oh.
Yeah. She's awesome, though. She's everyone's crush. She's pretty great. She's the one who carries the bow sticks and like throws spears and like.
What just happened here? Why did they take the?
Well,
put the guns down?
They just beat up Vipers. 2 Joes and 5 fashion models just beat up 6 highly trained Cobra soldiers. Yeah.
You're not.
Uh-oh.
That's a punch right in the face. Awesome.
Good God.
Do you know that for a long time I thought the way physics worked is that you could actually punch someone and they would go flying?
Yeah.
Like A-Team or
Oh
you know,
yeah, totally. That's
like-
totally how I felt.
Yeah, and then I actually punched someone for the first time and they didn't go flying.
Yeah. They usually just get mad.
Yeah, or they go like, "What was that for?" I'm like, why didn't you go through that window? I certainly swung hard enough.
When I was younger, I used to have mittens that were like connected, and I used to think that I could like spin them really fast, and then that would hurt somebody. I tried that in a fight when I was 5, and that was
It didn't work out
no,
well.
not at all.
The transference, do it now!
Mindbender and Lowlight are wrestling on the ground. Mindbender, by the way, has proven himself to be a formidable fighter in the past.
Really? He looked kind of useless just now.
No.
Oh, there's a chair.
He's pretty muscle bound, and he beat up Sergeant Slaughter and threw him out of a plane.
Really?
Oh yeah. He may not be a skilled combatant, but I think he's got some raw muscle where it counts.
Shoot him in the back.
That's why he walks around with no shirt.
Oh.
He's showing off his rips. You know, he's showing off his swollenness. His swole.
He is quite. He is. Is that how you say it? His swole.
His swole. Yeah. It's just fun to use the word swole.
I guess. Good Lord.
Oh no. Oh no.
Did you reach Una in time?
So Una's okay, but geez, look at this.
It's horrible.
Let me see my face.
Oh no.
Oh no. This is some Twilight Zone.
This is some serious Twilight Zone stuff.
There's nothing to look at. Nothing at all.
Oh no. So the lady, are we gonna get a good shot of it?
Oh my gosh, we're only seeing the reactions. This is horrifying.
Oh, this is great. Her face could be terrible.
I'll try, but there's not much to work with.
Oh my God. Even Lifeline's like, this woman's screwed. What an ending.
That's horrifying.
What an ending, Rammel. What do you think?
Ending.
That's your first episode of
That's
G.I.
my
Joe?
first. Oh, it was great. Fantastic.
Any favorite characters?
I actually like Lifeline. Is he like a medic?
Yeah,
He's like a doctor.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
great.
He's on it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him too.
Dr. Mindbender is awesome. Zartan's pretty cool. I like how Zartan dressed up as a viper.
Pretty sweet,
Saved
right?
the day.
G.I. Joe, one of
pretty
the
much-
hallmarks, there's always disguises on G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
It's like before Mission, well, I guess technically Mission Impossible did it first, but, Tom Cruise is always ripping his face off. That's straight G.I. Joe stuff.
Pretty much just had no plan, just sort of depended on Zartan sort of saving them and getting them out of there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. If they, well, we talk a lot about the show. Cobra is always their worst enemy. If Mindbender wasn't an overzealous jerk and, I'm going to keep your sister and destroy her face, they would have won.
They would have won.
Right.
Totally.
He had to get greedy and keep Zarana. And look where it ends him up.
I have so many questions. So does Cobra need that thing that he rides around in? He couldn't just walk into the...
That's Serpentor.
Okay.
The big snake-looking guy?
Oh, yeah.
That's Serpentor. Yeah.
So
and
Cobra's an organization.
Cobra's an organization. Serpentor is the Cobra Emperor. He's brand new to the show.
Oh,
Cobra Commander in the blue hood.
Yeah.
He was the guy who was the old car salesman that created Cobra.
I see.
And he was supplanted by Serpentor at the beginning of this season by Dr. Mindbender. Created Serpentor out of the DNA of all the great rulers of time, like Genghis Khan and Napoleon and Patton and all these amazing, mostly sadistic military rulers. I think they did Hitler. They didn't say him by name, but Sun Tzu, like all this stuff. And they took that DNA and Sergeant Slaughter too, of course.
Yeah. And
they morphed it and cloned a dude and created Serpentor, the ultimate Cobra leader.
That's great.
It's quite the gripping melodrama.
I'm fascinated.
So now I want to know, what would your job be? You saw the team, you saw what they do.
I did see the team.
What could you bring to the team? You're an actor. I mean, there's a lot of disguising going on. Like, what could you be?
Well, I'm an actor, but because I'm an actor, I'm also a waiter.
Yes.
So I think I would, if in the Joe cafeteria.
Okay.
I think I could provide a decent meal for the gang. And I think my name would be Dim Sum Fighting Words.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Dim Sum Fighting Words.
Yep.
I love it. Are you the actual chef or are you just serving it?
Oh, I can be the chef.
You're
I'll be the
chef
chef.
too. Yeah, you're chef too.
Yeah.
So you're the official Joe chef named Dim Sum Fighting Words.
And maybe I'm a vet. Definitely think like I've been in the...
Oh, you've been in the mix.
Yeah.
They underestimate you.
They do underestimate me, but I definitely, I provide a service.
Like Steven Seagal in Under Siege, where he was just the cook. And they're like,
he's
just the cook. What can Charlie do? And then all of a sudden, Dim Sum shows up, and he's like, "Wah! Dim Sum Fighting Words," and it's on.
Yeah.
I like that.
Of course, it has to have a bit of a Chinese dumpling sort of
Yes,
flair.
it does. Yes, it does.
Well,
I'd like to think that every meal you serve, whether it's turkey or chicken or roast beef or meatloaf, whatever it is, always there's a tray of like dumplings at the end. Always a tray of Chinese dumplings at the end.
Served on a cart.
Served on a cart. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Dim sum fighting words. I love that so much. Rammel Chan, I love you so much. Thank you so much
This was
for
the
doing this
funnest
show.
thing.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you're out there, please follow Rammel. Please follow his work. He's going to blow up one day, and you're going to be like, I remember hearing him on Joe when he broke his Joe on Joe cherry.
I did break. Yep.
Yeah.
Popping that cherry.
Well, guess what, Rammel? Now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.